In under 10 minutes at the Club World Cup against Real Madrid, Ousmane Dembélé forced 2 turnovers, created 2 goals, and broke Real Madrid's spirit, all without playing as a striker.
Another mistake. Dembele, fleet-footed, takes his big chance.
Luis Enrique's system, it hands him the map of hidden pressing zones that most pros never see. Stay tuned, because Point 5 will reveal his kryptonite. In elite football, matches are rarely decided by goals alone. They hinge on moments of magic by special players. For Paris Saint-Germain against Real Madrid, in the 2025 FIFA Club World Cup semi-final, that moment belonged to Ousmane Dembélé. Not Kylian Mbappe, not Vinicius Jr., but the French winger, who within the opening 10 minutes created the destruction that leaves even giants scrambling for answers. The game's tone was set almost instantly. Just in the 4th minute, Courtois had already saved a blinder. However, that was not enough against this dynamic attack from PSG. In the 6th minute, Real Madrid's Raúl Asensio hesitated in his own box, just long enough for Dembélé to pounce. With the instincts of a street footballer and the precision of a sniper, Dembélé robbed Asensio, danced past Thibaut Courtois' desperate dive, and laid the ball on the plate for Fabian Ruiz. And of course, Ruiz hammered the opener in the back of the net. It wasn't just a goal, it was a statement that PSG weren't waiting to see what Madrid had, they had come to demolish the most feared team in Europe. Madrid barely had time to process the shock. 3 minutes later, Dembélé struck again. This time, Antonio Rudiger's slip handed him the ball in a dangerous pocket. Dembélé didn't hesitate a bit, a quick cut inside, and a left-footed rocket in the bottom corner. The whole stadium was stunned. 2 goal involvements in 9 minutes. Dembélé was too hot to handle, and the defenders of Madrid had no answers for him. After that, what made Dembele's performance so devastating was beyond numbers. It was the psychological effect. Madrid's midfield, which has faced several problems this season in the absence of Kroos, suddenly looked rushed. Their passes became hurried, and positioning grew frantic. Bellingham and Güler were forced deeper, which broke all their rhythm. Every single time Dembélé pressed, Madrid's shape contracted and invited PSG's midfielder to swarm and suffocate the build-up. Now that we've seen the moment that defined Madrid's unraveling, we need to understand how that acceleration actually works, because what looks like pure instinct is built on something far more calculated. To the untrained eye, Dembele's speed is simply fast. However, real scouts, performance analysts, and tactical coordinators, they know the real story. He doesn't just run fast, he activates that fast. Acceleration is a weapon, but only when timed like a striker's finish or a goalkeeper's leap. Remember how skillfully Lewandowski scored 5 goals in 9 minutes? That type of right positioning, timed acceleration, and precision is the biggest tool of a striker. According to PSG's internal GPS trackers, the data backs Dembele's killer acceleration. He reaches a peak sprint velocity of 36.4 km per hour in just 3 to 4 seconds. That's faster than most elite sprinters while running in hurdles. However, here's the more surprising nuance. He rarely reaches that top end in straight lines. Watch a game of PSG, and you'll realize that Ousmane doesn't need a 5-meter runway. He can start from a standstill. That means that even in tightly packed pressing zones, he explodes before defenders can adjust their body shape. The biomechanics of his body, or in other words, the positioning of an apex predator, helps him with aerodynamics. When you see his stance while pressing, knees slightly bent, weight centered, heels barely off the turf, it's a posture borrowed from elite short-distance sprinters, where energy is coiled and ready to snap. But instead of lanes, he sees angles. His first step is often diagonal, not forward. This allows him to adjust mid-press, depending on where the pass goes. PSG's press under Enrique relies on vertical compression and forcing the opponents to play between the lines. Dembele's bursts are not used randomly, they're timed just when a midfielder receives a pass with their back turned. That moment of limited vision, that's when he strikes. His acceleration is preloaded into the structure of the press rather than just a normal reaction. That's how he hunted down Asensio and Rudiger within the first 10 minutes of the game. Another subtle feature is that he doesn't always complete the run. Sometimes he accelerates halfway, then decelerates. Why? To force defenders into rush decisions and bait them into misfires. This false press is a feint, which creates an illusion of pressure while resetting the trap zones. So, acceleration for Dembele is not a one-speed tool. He has a full repertoire of it. He manipulates that according to the opponent's shape, the pass trajectory, and the match tempo. He is a pressure artist, and when his feints blend with bursts, defenders lose the map entirely. To fully grasp how he breaks defensive lines so consistently, we need to examine the most invisible part of his game, the pressing traps. A normal viewer often misunderstands pressing with aggression. For the managers who take high risks in football, it's a deception. Take a look at Hansi Flick's Barcelona or De Zerbi's Brighton. They press high and suffocate the build-up of the opponent. However, their most lethal moves come out when the main creators are barely moving. The trap starts before the ball even arrives. After that, a genius through ball because the opponent's shape is destroyed, or a simple 1-2 pass creates goals. PSG's press also works similarly. Let's analyze a typical trap. Dembele positions himself between two opponents, close enough to both, but committing to neither. He makes a quick forward shuffle, forcing a defender to glance. Then he stops. That hesitation moment is crucial. It creates false comfort. The opponent now believes the forward has disengaged. That's when he makes the pass, and that's when the trap springs. Dembele pounces not on the ball, but on the passer's delayed recovery of position. The whole pressing system of Luis Enrique builds around these moments. Dembele, Hakimi, and Vitinha form a rotating triangle that traps the ball carrier in tight zones. Here, Dembele has a special natural gift for the curved approach. He rarely passes in straight lines. His runs have an arc designed to pass towards central chaos zones, often filled with Fabian Ruiz or João Neves, ready to win second balls. In the Club World Cup semi-final, this played out perfectly for their third goal. The opposing right-back was allowed a seemingly free touch, a calculated invitation by PSG's pressing scheme. Ousmane Dembélé edged forward cautiously, then stalled just long enough to bait the defender into turning inward and releasing a square ball. In under 2 seconds, Dembélé swept across the channel with a sharp, curved run and intercepted the pass cleanly. From that decisive turnover, PSG transitioned swiftly with one-touch passes. Within 6 touches, the ball found Fabian Ruiz, who controlled under pressure and finished clinically to extend PSG's lead to 3-0. That's how efficient the pressing system of PSG is. Now, let's explore how Luis Enrique centered the entire system on Dembele's brilliance. When the whole fiasco of Dembele leaving FC Barcelona happened, people didn't understand why Dembele was leaving Barcelona. He was thriving under Xavi after a long time. In fact, that was his best season in Blaugrana since his arrival. However, he still left and joined Enrique at PSG. The main reason was the system that Lucho presented in front of him. He didn't simply sign up for the flair on the flank, he signed a tactical detonator that can disrupt build-up play and initiate defensive traps without sacrificing attacking shape. In Enrique's hybrid 3-2-5 structure, Dembele is more than a winger and a wide forward. In possession, PSG often morphs into a 3-2-5 shape. Hakimi inverts into the midfield or goes wide, while the left fullback, Nuno Mendes, tucks inside. This gives the illusion of control, but the moment possession turns over, the team snaps into a pressing shell. In those moments of transition, Dembele does not return back to defending conventional zones. Instead, he drifts into a free-roaming trigger zone, often between the opposition's fullback and defensive midfielder. That freedom has gifted PSG a treble this season in tactical terms. Enrique gives him vertical license because of how well Dembele reads second ball situations. In football, when a goalkeeper or a defender clears or shoots the ball into the opponent's area, all the outfield players try to win the ball. When one player can't control the ball with their head or foot, that loose ball becomes the second ball. Teams prepare to control second ball situations because they lead to counters or transitions. So, getting back to our point, Dembele's role is to float in the grey zone during transitions. He neither marks nor retreats, but silently waits for a loose touch, a rushed lateral pass, or a poor clearance. Once that occurs, he pounces. These are not blind sprints. They are reactive traps, fueled by scanning and anticipation. In short, Dembele isn't just pressing because he's quick, He's pressing because Enrique engineered a system where his instincts, reading cues, baiting passes, and striking from blind angles could flourish. However, how does that structure convert pressing into an end product? That's what we saw the whole season. And that's where numbers tell a bigger story. The high pressing in football is only as valuable as the end product it's creating. The reason PSG won the European treble this season? It's because the end product of their high pressure was top-notch. The defensive pressure of Dembele converted into goals, assists, and final third domination. The data proves it well. He ranks in the 99th percentile for non-penalty XG per 90 minutes among League One winners. What's more remarkable is that these numbers are not inflated by volume. They're powered by field position wins. Let's have a context for it. In modern football, the most dangerous moment does not come from a structured build-up, they come from broken phases, those chaotic 5-second windows after a turnover or change of possession. PSG under Luis Enrique, it presses to restart the attack closer to the goal when the opponent is least organized. Dembele is the key to this restart. We saw in the final of the Champions League that PSG deliberately shot a ball wide in Inter's half and then started the press right from Jan Sommer, the keeper of Inter Milan. That press triggers a turnover high up the pitch, often by intercepting a pass or forcing an error. Dembele stays advanced while keeping himself onside when the ball is reclaimed behind him. This means when PSG recovers the ball, Dembele is already positioned in a goal-dangerous area. He becomes the first outlet or the secondary runner when the pass is reversed. This explains why a significant chunk of his XG and assists come not from wide 1v1 duels, but central actions following transitions or turnovers. We have already explained how his pressing led to 3 goals in the Club World Cup semi-final against Madrid. Dembele did not score the first and third goals, but initiated the sequences with an interception or forced clearance. These sequences, they're invisible to traditional stats, but Enrique's data staff is always tracking them, and so are the fans of PSG. When most attackers wait for chances in the box, Dembele creates them from the press itself. His end product is not a result of dribbles, it's the byproduct of positional violence. He may be the most unique winger working like this in world football right now. In a nutshell, you don't see Dembele coming. That's the problem. One stutter step, one false press, and boom, your build-up is in pieces. Dembele is not looking for the spotlight, he's looking for your mistake, and once he finds it, there's no rewind.